Let me start again today by quoting the scripture that states that we can understand God by studying creation or the work of his hand. He said the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even its eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. If you have been following this series for a while, some things should become more clearer to you because science is now explaining to us the things hitherto that have remained mystery. Of course, God does not want to remain mystery. That's why the Bible says the glory of God to conceal a matter is the honor of king to search it out. Because when you search it out and do the research, then you can appreciate it and value it because of the cost in terms of time in research to find it out. And it becomes also novel. Because not everybody will be able to discover it. But when it's discovered, it's then unveiled and made available to everyone. So many things have been discovered and about us as human, about God. And if you look at them very well, the pointer to the character of God are based on what you can see. He said the invisible things of him are clearly seen. You want to understand God? Check out creation. You see in creation the principle of sowing and reaping. You see in creation harvest and planting. You see in creation water cycle, phosphorus cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle. You see in creation, even in human body, the systems. The systems. The system. Why is this so important? This is very important because we can't see God. It's in the unseen realm. But we have a good idea of how he operates, of how he works, on what he will do and will not do, of the principle that should guide the way we live our life, as revealed in scriptures. Another translation says, God's eternal power and character cannot be seen. But from the beginning of creation, God has shown what these are like or what these look like by all that he has made. That is why those people don't have excuse. I would also like to state that some of the languages used in the Bible are based on limitation of an understanding of the writer at the time they wrote the scriptures. If the scripture are to be written today, you are going to see some changes in the language being used. I'm very sure you see words like energy, frequency, and vibration. For example, love, joy, and peace make you to be at a high frequency of vibration, but anger, hatred, and fear make you to be at a low frequency of vibration. And these are motivation for evil. That is why as long as you are in Christ, which means you are full of love, joy, and peace, evil power cannot harm you because you are above all due to the high frequency of operation. It's so important to have good understanding in this respect because that helps you not to live your life in fear. In fact, this is the reason why you should not be afraid of juju. Why? You are at the high frequency of vibration. You are at the high frequency of vibration. Unless you don't understand what is going on. Because when you understand what is going on, you now have a motivation to live a life of holiness and righteousness. You know the reason why you should not be hateful, envy, jealous, or refusing to forgive people? Why? All these keep you at low frequency of vibration. All these keep you at low frequency of vibration. This does not make you to be susceptible to only spiritual attack, you're also susceptible to even disease. Even disease. Even disease. Why? You are susceptible to diseases because your cells are weak. Because your cells are weak. And because your cells are weak, you are unable. Because your cells are weak, you are unable to fight the germs. Why? Because of the low level of vibration in your cell. That is why hatred, anger, fear make you susceptible to diseases and sicknesses. Because it drains your energy. It drains your energy. It drains your energy. In this series, we'll be talking a lot about the need for you to maintain high frequency. Live that life that will help you to not just be healthy, but also fortify against satanic attack. Today, we are looking at part 2 of how to stop generational curses. Let me remind you, last week, we made some very, very bold and audacious statements. For example, that there is no such thing as generational curses. There are only generationally misdirected energy. Misdirected energy. Misdirected energy. Misdirected energy. Misdirected energy. I know we are in Africa. As Africa going through such cycle, repetitive negative cycle, are often described as generational causes. The goal of this session is to help you break those generational causes. And what generational causes? The concept of generational cause is the idea that something external to you has imprisoned you in a way that it makes you go through cycle of events that make you sad. However, if you can accept the idea that will be shared today, if you can accept the idea that will be shared today, you will be able to break the cycle in your life and in your lineage. Let me start by asking this important question. Who is that actually caused you? Who is it? Who is it that actually caused you? You are actually caused by yourself or your parent or relative, but with your permission. But with your permission. Because you must believe what they are telling you. You must believe it. You must believe it. You know, one of the biggest challenges we have as humans is our belief system. Our belief system. If you understand how powerful our belief system is, and which is what you are supposed to correct in learning about Christ in church, so that you now change that belief system in such a manner that you now believe in the power of God rather than the power of the devil. You know, some people, they believe the devil more than they believe God. In fact, they know more about the devil more than they know more about God. Your belief system is so powerful. Always remember that belief determines your frequency, and your frequency affects your reality. And frequency of vibration affects your reality. Because everything vibrates. Science makes us know that everything vibrates at the frequency. The table you are sitting on, the chair you are sitting on is vibrating. The phone in your hand is vibrating. Everything vibrates, including yourself and your cell. And when your cell vibrates at a low energy, your body is susceptible to diseases. But when it vibrates at a high energy, then you are able to fight diseases in your body. When you are full of love, joy, and peace, you are at a high frequency. That's why holiness is important, because it helps you to be at a high frequency. And that makes you to be able to be fortified against any negative energy that can come to you. The idea is this: your belief contributes to your level of vibration and your frequency. Your belief is very powerful. That's why you need to be careful of what you also expose yourself to. Because some people believe so much in the devil, and they somewhere in their mind, they know God is powerful than the devil. But because they've learned so much about the devil, they don't believe that they have what it takes to overcome. So, by accepting that story they told you, this is the way it has happened. Nobody live up to 40 years. Nobody live up to 50 years. Nobody live up to this particular year. By believing it, you are permitting yourself to be cursed. Please know that your parents, it could be physical or spiritual, are more powerful over you, and over your reality than God. And I'll repeat that statement. Your parents, spiritual or physical, are more powerful over your reality than God. Why? Because God says something in scripture, you believe what a parent told you. So their power, because you believe them more than you believe God, actually. You believe them more than you believe God. So they have more power over you because they are the one that influence the kind of belief and hence the frequency you radiate. The environment created by your parents or religious leaders, through what they say, do form your belief. They form your identity, the way you see yourself. They form your attention, the thing you focus on. They form your emotional conviction, and they form your thought. Listen to that again. Remember, all these contribute to your frequency of vibration as a human being. And science is proving to us that even your thoughts have presence. Your thoughts radiate electromagnetic wave from your body, and these can be measured scientifically. That's how powerful your thought is. And do you know what? The environment created by your parents, either physical or spiritual, through what they say, form your belief, form your identity, the way you see yourself, form your attention, concentration, and focus, form your emotional conviction and your thought. This consequently make them to have the most powerful influence over your life, more than whatever God has said about you, because you believe them more than you believe God. A good example of this is Israelites. Look at the Israelites. Even though God had a plan for them to take them to the promised land, but the influence of their parents hindered them. The influence of their parents, by virtue of the mindset they had in Egypt, they'll be so denigrated. Slavery is a very terrible thing. Slavery make them to have scarcity mindset. And scarcity mindset will not make you to manifest your desired reality. Scarcity mindset will not make you to manifest your desired reality. When you have scarcity mindset, when you see something expensive, you shout, it's too expensive. When you say it's too expensive, you are basically saying that it's not for me. It's not for me. Because you have said it's expensive. So you can't afford it. And guess what? You won't be able to afford it. You won't be able to afford it. Why? Because you believe it's expensive. There's no such thing as expensive. There's no such thing as expensive. What you say is expensive to someone else is not. It's all of them are relative to what you believe you are capable of getting or buying. Their parents create a belief in them, an identity in them, focus their attention in the wrong thing. This makes them to have emotional conviction in the wrong thing. They don't believe they will get to the promised land. And this affects their thoughts. Remember, these all affect your frequency. They have, and all this thwarted God's plan for their life. So God's intention is to them to promised land, but many of them died. They couldn't get there. That's how powerful parental influence can be in your life. That God can have a plan for your life, but that plan never manifests. Why? Because of the belief, identity, emotional conviction, your attention and thought created by what you can hear people say around you, particularly your parent. So note that your parents have power over you, over your reality. That's why sometimes you need to deconstruct and ask yourself, there's some things you believe. Money does not grow on trees. we don't do this in our family. You know, we don't have money in this family. Our family is usually poor. I think so many things, and it's a software running in you. You have been programmed. And guess what? If you allow what your parent pumped into you to perpetuate itself in you, you are going to repeat that cycle. Not because there is a cause. It's because of you permitting it. You are the most important factor here. It's very important you understand this. Even though God is almighty, yet he does not interfere in the daily activity of mankind because he has set in place principles and systems that man is expected to follow to get their desired reality. The God system is an impersonal energy that we do exactly what is being set up to do. If you throw a baby up a cliff, the baby will fall down and die. It's not God that killed him. God created gravity to keep us on the ground, on earth. Some other planet does not have gravity. That's why people float in those places. So the gravity has its function, but you can misuse it. Same for electricity. It can charge your phone, but it can shock you. That's the way God's principle on the earth is. Your parents have access to your subconscious mind. You know, for a child, before you are 6, all the things that come to you, all the things you see go to your subconscious mind. That's why sometimes you don't even know that you've been programmed because you've received so many things. You know, that's why if you are not ready to take care of kids, please don't raise kids. Even if you get married, if you are not, how do I describe this? If you are not ready, if you have not learned about parenting, please don't give birth to children. You can literally mess up their lives. You can. For many adults today, they were messed up when they were very young. Very was messed up. It's not their parents' fault. Their parent does not know any better. Most of our parents don't know any better, so it's not their fault. But in today's world, we have known enough to ensure we don't repeat the mistake our parents made. If you are not ready for parenting, if you don't know how to govern behavior, because parenting is about behavior governance, there is no such thing as a stubborn child. There are only ignorant parents. There is no such thing as a stubborn child. There are only ignorant parents. In every child, there's an Osama bin Laden. There's an Obama, Barack Obama, a great president, a terrorist. The one you speak to is the one that responds to you. In every child, there's an Obama, there's Osama. The one you speak to is the one that responds to you. Before the child is 7, everything, it takes it in, it goes straight to the subconscious mind. The child is being programmed by the environment you have created. If you are always watching TV and you tell the child to go and read, you are joking. Your actions speak louder than your words. If you are not reading yourself, if you are not studying yourself, and you say that child should read, you're joking. You're joking. It's just going to copy you. Period. Period. So you had better known exactly what you're doing, particularly in raising kids. Now, I'm saying that to say that a child is being programmed every day from the day he was born. He was innocent for a second the day he was born. He became a victim. He became a victim. A child became a victim 1 second after birth. Became a victim in the adult of his life. And the adult pumps so many things into him. The child does not even know what they are pumping into him, let alone being able to resist it. So there's a way you behave as an adult that is as a result of those things that were pumped into you that you're not even conscious when they pump them into you. Your parents have access to your subconscious mind because of what they taught you in your formative years. What they taught you in your formative years. For example, they say money don't grow on trees. They say life is difficult. They say things are expensive. They say we are poor family. They blame the government for misfortune. All these were absorbed by your subconscious mind. And they therefore form your beliefs. They form your identity. They form your attention. They form your emotional conviction and your thoughts. These then determine your vibration, which compound to form your frequency and projected back to you as your reality. Remember, your frequency is a product code that determines what you order from God's system of the universe. Until you sit down to analyze your belief, until you sit down to analyze your identity, until you sit down to analyze your attention, until you sit down to analyze your emotional conviction and your thoughts as created by your parent or the adult of your life, you will soon become your parent. You will soon become your parent. You will still go the way of your parent. You will begin to behave like your parent, thinking like your parent, acting like your parent, doing things you don't like, you saw in them, you don't like it, but you're going that way already because you never analyze this belief system, this identity, the way I see myself, this my attention and concentration and focus, this my conviction about life, and this the way I think. Until you question, analyze your parent belief, until you question and analyze your parent identity, until you question and analyze what they give attention to, until you question and analyze their emotional conviction, until you question and analyze their thought process, you will soon begin to get the same result as they have in their life, good or bad. And you're going to say, the same cycle in my parent is happening in my life, and they will call it generational causes. And they will call it generational causes. And they will call it generational causes because it's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. Let's say, for example, in your family, women don't get married until they are 30. And you believe it already. And you believe it already. So in your mind, I know this is the way it is in our family. Not get married until you have 30. Because, number one, you believe it because you've seen it. Number two, that becomes the way you see yourself. Emotional conviction. You convince about it. And you focus your attention on it. You focus your attention on it. When will I even be 30 now? So that at least I can have opportunity to get married. Before you know it, you will find yourself either not attracting the right man or not even attracting men at all. By 30 is okay, yes, I passed that age now. It's time for me to get married. Because you believe. This is so serious, man. So serious. If you don't analyze what your parent pour into you and know the one to keep and the one to replace, you will soon become like your parent. Until you are able to self-analyze their belief, their identity, where they place their attention, what are their emotional conviction, and emotionally charged thought. Ladies and gentlemen, you will perpetuate their life in your life until you can explore, self-question, self-analyze the potential subconscious pattern of your life. The potential subconscious pattern of your life. You will remain trapped in them. You remain trapped in them. You remain trapped in that pattern. This can make all the difference in achieving your desired reality in your life. As simple as it may sound, this can make the whole difference. If you don't do this, I'm sorry to say, you are doomed to perpetuate the same misfortune that they experience in their life. The same misfortune that they experience in their life. The same misfortune that they experience in their life. Now, even when someone prays for you, if you don't believe in that prayer, that this prayer has worked for me, not that we work, no, we work, has worked for me, and you begin to see yourself in the light of that prayer, it will be like nothing happened. It will be like nothing has been broken. Why? Because you don't believe anything has changed. You don't believe anything has changed. You don't believe anything has changed. In our family, people struggle through life. In fact, in our family, they die before they are 60. In our family, I see different story. Now that you understand a generational curse, now that you know how you are cursed, now that you know who has cursed you, then we can now learn how to break the curse. How to break the curse. Because that's the goal. That's the goal from what we discussed last week. They have to break the curse. You need to be able to analyze the belief that you picked up from your parents and ensure that they are aligned with your desired reality. So as I'm talking to you now, I want to be, can you write down or type on your phone those beliefs about your family, about your village, about your mom, about your dad, about your lineage? What are those things you've heard they've told you? What are those things you've heard and they've told you? What are those things you've heard and they've told you? What are those things? What are those things that you've heard and they've told you? You need to be able to analyze. You need to be able to analyze the belief that you picked up from your parents and ensure they align with your desired reality. So what's your desired reality? And what's the belief you pick up from your parents? Is there a belief you pick up from your parents? Is there a belief you pick up from your parents that does not align with your desired reality? A belief about money, for example. You want to be able to achieve success in life, but you have a belief. You know, your belief is the ceiling of your manifestation. Is the ceiling of your money. It's like your self-worth. It's the ceiling of your manifestation. There's no amount of prayer if you don't believe that you can. In fact, not just believe, if you don't know, because that's a deeper level of belief. Belief is at the level of conscious mind. Knowing is at the level of subconscious mind. You must know, not just believe. Know. That's the emotional conviction that it is done. You need to be able to analyze your identity, your self-worth, your self-concept to ensure it aligns with your desired reality. How do you see yourself? I was talking to a lady last week. I don't know if she's here. Let me see. Okay, she's not joining. I was talking to her and we're discussing, and something happened to her sometimes when she was on campus. And that thing has made her to begin to see herself less than she is, such that now she doesn't see herself as being worthy. She doesn't deserve good things of life. I think, it's so amazing the way we treat ourselves. And sometimes it's not their fault. He had a very traumatic experience that made her to begin to think this way. So she has a very bad self-esteem, bad identity. And I had to tell her what she needs to do. Because you need to begin to see yourself correctly. And one of the things to do is you see that thing that happened because you must be able to trace it. So I was asking her about, I was asking her a question. She now was telling me about the way she sees herself. So we have to trace it back because you need to be able to trace it back to the source. So we're able to trace it back to the source. Now she needs to reinterpret that thing. You see that source, that situation that happened. She needs to reinterpret it. She needs to interpret it in the way that's her, because she has interpreted that situation in a way that make her to begin to see herself this way. But she needed to interpret that situation in a better way that serve her, so that she will see that situation and be thanking God for it, rather than feeling less of herself because of that situation. And I have to give her that assignment. Because you need to trace, if you don't check, if you have low self-esteem, you don't say anything good about yourself, you just feel everybody is better than you, you are not, you are nobody, you just see yourself, denigrate yourself. And this thought goes in your mind every time. You can't manifest your desired reality. You cannot. In fact, if you are praying, it's like you are praying on one hand and you are scattering the prayer on the other hand. Why? Because you don't see yourself the way God sees you. You don't see yourself the way God sees you. The way God sees you is not the way you see yourself. You don't believe in what He has even said about you. So how does it manifest? How? So you need to analyze your identity, your self-concept, your self-worth, to ensure it aligns with your desired reality. Number 3, you need to analyze where you place your attention. Where do you place your attention? Where do you place your attention? Where do you place your attention? Anything you focus on is that determines the frequency you are vibrating at that time. Where do you focus on the negative? There are a lot of things happening in your family. So which one do you focus on? This one happened to my aunt or to my sister or to my brother. I hope it will be my turn. It will happen to. What is your focus? What is your attention? What are you concentrating on? Attention is alignment. Remember, attention is alignment. Whatever you give your attention to, you are aligned with it. Remember, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. If you give your attention to that negative situation, to that cause, so-called, you give your attention to it, you think about it every day, you worry about it, attention is alignment. It will just be like Job, that which I fear came upon me. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Whatever you give your attention to in this life is what you align with. You give your attention to poverty, you align with poverty. Give your attention to late marriage, you align with late marriage. Give your attention to lack of job, you align with lack of job. Give your attention to sickness, diseases, terminal sickness, dying early. Anything you give your attention to, you align with, because you vibrate at the frequency of that reality. So you need to analyze what you place your attention on in order to ensure that they align with your desired reality. You need to be able to analyze what you are emotionally convinced as true in your world and ensure that they align with your desired reality. What are you emotionally convinced as true? That thing you are believing God for, do you believe? Are you convinced it is yours already? Remember, you can only have what you already have. Remember, you can only have what you already have. If you don't have it, you can't have it. If you don't have it internally, it cannot become your reality externally. You can only have what you already have. If you don't receive it internally, you can't manifest on the external. You can only have what you already have, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. You need to analyze what you are emotionally convinced as true. Are you emotionally convinced that generational curse run in your family? Are you emotionally convinced because you've seen it happen to your father, to your uncle, to your brother, to your sister? Are you emotionally convinced? If you're emotionally convinced, be it unto you according to your faith. Be it unto you according to your faith. You need to analyze what you are emotionally convinced about and ensure that they align with your desired reality. You need to be able to analyze your thoughts. You know, the scripture gives us the protocol to guide the way you think. The scripture gives us the protocol to guide the way you think. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are praiseworthy. Think on these things. What do you think about? Generational curse. What do you think about? The negative things. You know, somehow, it's so easy. We've been programmed to think more of negative than positive. People have been programmed. Someone is traveling, he's imagining himself having an accident. Can you imagine? Why are you not imagining yourself arriving and hugging your parent or sibling or anybody you're going to meet where you're going? Why are you imagining? We have been programmed to think negatively. You need to be very conscious of how you think, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You need to be able to align your thoughts and ensure they align with your desired reality. You need to ensure that your belief, your identity, your attention, your emotional conviction and thought are in a place where they all align with your desired reality. The reason why many find it difficult to manifest their desired reality is because they confuse the God system of the universe with one or more of the five factors one of the five factors being aligned with the desired reality. They are believing God for A, but they are believing B. They are believing God for A, but they don't see themselves as being it. Because to become, you must first be. Please note that you are not generationally cursed with money. You just have a poverty consciousness that has been passed on to you. You are not generationally cursed with money. You just have a poverty consciousness that has been passed to you. You are not generationally cursed to die young in your family. You just have the fear of death that has been passed to you. You just have the consciousness, fear of death consciousness that has been passed to you. So you are not generationally cursed in your relationship, but rather you just have a toxic perception of your partner. Until you ensure you align your belief, your identity, your emotional conviction, your attention, your thoughts with your desired reality, you will not be able to achieve it. Have you ever wondered why we only talk about generational causes? Why is it that you don't talk about generational luck or generational blessing? Why? Why? You can't clap with one hand. You clap with two hands. If the generational cause, then there must generational blessing. There must generational blessing. You can't have cold without having hot. You can't have a generational curse without generational blessing. So now let's talk about how to transmute the generational curse to generational blessing, to generational fortune, to generational luck. Please note that there's no such things as chance in life. It is only higher level of understanding. Things does not just happen randomly in this life. No. You are not attending this meeting by chance. You are not coming across this audio or this video on YouTube by chance. No. What you call chance is a coincidence. For those that are asleep, they call it coincidence. For those that are awake, they call it synchronicity. Let me give you an example. Why is it that the solution to Egypt problem was in the hand of Joseph? Why? Why? It is a coincidence? No. It's synchronicity. God caused Pharaoh to have a terrible dream and put the answer in the hand of Joseph. It's synchronicity. It's not chance. God is an orchestrator of circumstances. It's an orchestrator of circumstances. It's an orchestrator. Our job in prayer is to position, because he said goodness and mercy shall follow you. You're not supposed to be pursuing goodness and mercy up and down because it's looking for you. He said goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. But many people are chasing it up and down. They're looking for it. But he's looking for you also, because goodness and mercy shall follow you. But we don't position ourselves by creating heaven within, because no one can receive anything except they be given to him from heaven. How do you create heaven within? You create peace, joy within. When you are troubled, when you are sad, when you are fearful, you create hell within. When you're full of joy, when you're full of peace, when you're full of love, you create heaven within. And no man can receive anything from heaven. If you don't create heaven within, you can't receive it. You can't. You can't. You can't. There's no such thing as coincidence. It's called synchronicity. 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 Because God synchronized them together and make all things to work together for your good. He synchronized them together and make all, both good and bad. If you know all things will work together for good, you won't be sad when something bad happens, because you know everything leads to one place, the place of your desired reality. Could be good or bad, depending on your state of mind. You need to understand just one thing to transmute from generational curse to generational blessing or luck. This involves the principle of polarity. The principle of polarity. The principle of polarity. For example, hot and cold. The same energy, different rate of vibration. Blessing and curse. The same energy, different rate of vibration. Love and hate. Same energy, different rate of vibration. Poverty, riches. Same energy, different rate of vibration. Hot, cold. Same energy, different rate of vibration. You see the cold water? Ice, solid, rate of vibration low. Steam, rate of vibration high. Same energy, water molecule, but different rate of vibration. We call one steam, we call the other ice. The principle of polarity states that everything has a polar opposite, which is actually same energy, but different degree of vibration. For example, hot and cold, two extremes of temperature, but are essentially the same phenomenon. This is also called the principle of duality. So what you call positive and negative, what you call good or bad, what you call rich or poor, is the same energy, but at different level of vibration. the same energy, but different level of vibration. This is also like ice and steam. Same energy, different rate of vibration. Please note that riches and poverty are the same energy. They only define their rate of vibration. Generational curse, bad luck. Generational blessing, good luck, are the same energy, but different rate of vibration. So if you are trapped by unconscious belief, if you are trapped by unconscious self-identity, if you are trapped by unconscious attention, if you are trapped by unconscious emotional conviction, if you are trapped by unconscious thought, which is creating misdirected frequency from you, how do you get out of this and convert to generational blessing? What you need to do is to change your rate of vibration. So, how do you change your rate of vibration? You change your rate of vibration by changing your concentration to the polar opposite of that cause internally. Internally. In prayer, in meditation, you're focusing on the polar opposite. In prayer, in meditation, you're focusing on the polar opposite. In prayer, in meditation, you're focusing on the polar opposite. Your predominant thought is the polar opposite. Your predominant thought is the polar opposite. You know, the reason why many people pray and the prayer never get answered is because they say something else with their mouth, but they mentally declare something else. And your mental declaration is for the whole day. But you speak in the morning or in the evening, 30 minutes, 1 hour, but you are mentally declaring exactly opposite by your thought process, by your concentration, by your attention. And you're saying your prayer is not answered because you really don't believe what you have just said. Because if you believe your prayer, then your identity immediately change to the reality you have prayed for. Your thought immediately change to the reality you have paid for. Your conviction immediately change to the reality you have prayed for. You're not going to be thinking of what you don't want again. You're going to focus your attention on what you want. Remember, attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. If you begin to concentrate on polar opposite long enough, you're going to create that nerve neuron synapse in the brain that is going to grow over time because of your focus and attention and overpower that negative synapse, mind, and frequency emitting from your brain. This is so important, ladies and gentlemen. This concentration on the polar opposite help you to be, that is, become the desired blessing internally. And this, and thus begin to do, which is to take action externally and consequently have your desired reality. Be through concentration and do taking action. You can't be taking action that suggests you still believe you have generational causes. If you are going to have generational blessing, you must be internally and do, take action, take action, take action. Like taking step of faith, take action, take action, take action. So if you believe you are generationally caused financially, that means there is an aspect of you that is unconsciously or subconsciously concentrating on poverty. If you believe you are generationally caused in the area of marriage, that means there's an aspect of you that is either consciously or subconsciously concentrating on causing marriage. You need to first believe that you are no longer caused and begin to concentrate on the polar opposite. After all, you have prayed and you have broken it. Then believe your prayer. Believe your prayer. Concentrate on the polar opposite to increase your vibration. The vibration compound to form a frequency that attracts the polar opposite, that attract the reality, that attract the desired reality. So focus in the area of poverty, concentrate on wealth. Focus in the area of getting married, focus on getting married. Focus in the area of unemployment, focus on getting employment. Focus on getting job. You need to continue this concentration of focus on the polar opposite long enough. Remember, do you know how long? Do you know how long? Do you know how long you have been thinking like this? That's why you need to spend some time. Concentrate on polar opposite long enough until the mind, the consciousness, the synaptic connection become more prominent than the old and wrong frequency. This consequently make this new frequency to become your predominant frequency. And guess what? This in turn attract to you your desired reality. As simple as this is the solution. Give it a trial and come and share your testimony. Give it a trial. There's no such thing as generational curse. There are only misdirected energy, misdirected frequency, focusing on the wrong thing, focusing on the wrong thing, focusing on the wrong thing. And attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. What do you give your attention to? You are watching movie that demonstrate generational cause. It's reinforcing it in your mind. It's reinforcing it in your mind. It's reinforcing it in your mind. What are you giving your attention to? Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I've just shown you the science of how that happened. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I'll stop here this evening. Next week, we're going to look at stopping repetitive negative cycle. Stopping repetitive negative cycle. What have we learned tonight? Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. Blessing, good evening. Hello, Blessing.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for tonight's class.
Yeah.
If I put it that way, and I've actually learned a lot because there are some things that I didn't know that you've like opened my eyes to.
Tell me, what's
Like
that?
concerning like our belief system, especially this generational course, because
Yes.
most times you think like it's spiritual in the sense whereby they will be like, in your family, like I'm just giving an example of in a
Yes.
person's family, people don't stay up to so age, they
Yes.
don't get married early, and you will take in that information, and before you know, you start thinking and you now start living that kind of life that they've already presented to you. So this topic has actually opened my eyes to so many things that whatever you believe matters a lot. What you pay concentration to matters a lot. Because this thing said just opened my eyes to like a particular situation
Okay.
whereby like in the family they like the forefathers did something that affected the children, so they have to like go back to the village to take out that thing so that their life will progress. And mind you, this person in particular is a Christian. And I'm like, I thought once you're a Christian, you're not supposed to like go back to all of that and everything. Just for like after they got the information and they asked the person said yes, that like he knows about it and he believes that. Like, you know about this thing for like a very long time and you didn't even say anything. So now because of his belief system, he still has to like go back to the village to like go and take out the tradition that was like asked of him to do. So your teaching tonight, like I even listened to the previous one because I was not around. I didn't
Okay.
join last week, so I listened to it. So it opened my eyes to like when you believe whatever anyone has like said to you or told you plays a huge role.
You know,
So from now on, I really
so,
need to.
blessing, hold your thought. Don't
Ah,
forget. Don't forget. Hold on.
okay.
You see, when they go to the
Yes,
village
sir.
to go and do what they did, it's not what they did that solved
Yeah.
it. It is the belief that what they did that solved the problem. That is what solved it. Do you know
Okay.
sometimes you go to the hospital, you are feeling sick. The doctor know that you come frequently, and doctor give you what is called placebo. Placebo is a drug that is there's nothing inside, but it's a drug. They'll give it to you, you take it, and people will come back and say they are feeling okay. But what they gave them is just like salt or sugar. It's just there is no therapeutic value inside. But the person will come back and say, thank you, doctor. I'm fine now. It was the drug worked. It's not the drug that worked, it's his belief that worked. It's his belief that worked. He knows when the doctor give him that drug. And many people don't know. Because I mean, that's how I know this. Many people go to hospital don't know that they give them placebo occasionally. Particularly when you come like every morning, doctor see you, yeah, what happened again? Is that thing, doctor will give you placebo. When he realize that you come frequently, you know it's not, it will give placebo. And people take placebo, and more than 90% of people that take placebo come back and confess they are fine. Can you imagine? So it's not really the what they do to the shrine is that they believe that by doing this thing will be done. Just like prayer. When you pray, it's your faith that make it happen. It's the belief that by speaking this has happened, and God have created a system. That's the challenge many believers don't understand. God does not answer your prayer when you pray. He said, before you speak, I've answered. Because he has put a system in place that if you plug into, you get your result. So if you have that belief, by belief, I mean you know it has happened. You have that emotional experience subconsciously that this is done. You will have whatever you say. Go ahead.
Okay, so that really stood out for me concerning belief. And you said something about the kind of information like I should pay attention to it, like going on from now, the kind of information we feed ourselves and the things we watch also play a huge role. For instance, now like today now in social media and everything, most people are trying to paint. Let me give an example now. The way
Okay.
if you go on Twitter and some social media, you'll be hearing stories about bad marriages, failed marriages,
Yes.
and sometimes those kind
Blessing,
of
blessing,
things.
please.
Yes, sir.
Hold your thought. Don't forget. You just touch on something
Okay.
that is so critical. When you go to the comment section of those stories, someone will say, marriage is a scam. I will never get married. I'm even scared of marriage. You see all sort of comment. You see those comments? And you're worried that people are having issues in marriages? The comment already show their state of mind. When that happened, people talk about it, but there are people in the same industry that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years. Why is it that you are not focusing on the good ones? Why is it that the bad one that make the news is the one people are focusing on? And that's the power of concentration. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So that's it now. From like going forward now, really pay attention to the kind of information like I feed myself, my thoughts, like kind of thoughts that come to my head. When they are negative one, like I just reject it and focus on the positive one. So it's something I need to be conscious about, like moving forward. So that's everything, sir. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you. Eunice, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Um, Currently, I don't have any comments. I'm still soaking in a lot, but my major take home would be we can rewrite our destiny, our future with our own hands
Yes,
by
very correct.
refocusing, realigning our attention. Is something that is still something we've been talking about since the beginning of this series, and I'm beginning to understand the consequence of
Yeah.
what you put on the
Mm.
consequence
Mm.
mindset, the consequence of pain. I'm currently writing a book on pain and how to deal with pain. I'm beginning to understand a lot about the effect that childhood traumas and childhood experiences have on adults as a whole. And a lot of things have gone wrong with our generation. And if we currently, the prospective parents, don't get it right and heal and get our mindset shifted, it will be very difficult to raise a generation after us that will be able to get anything done right.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
going to be a full effect of negative and negative, and we are crying for revolution, crying for healing, and all of that. And it's like nothing is happening. A lot has to do with our minds. A lot has to do with our minds. A preacher was saying it today that some people think that, oh, they want to come into marriage to get some form of emotional comfort
Hmm.
instead of dealing with their emotional inadequacies before going into marriage. Marriage is, he was saying that marriage is taking a lot of pressure than it was even made to take. Marriage is supposed to be a union of two people, not perfect in the sense, but two complete and whole people that have minds of God to fulfill God's purpose in every area of their lives. It's not a destination, it's just like a steering wheel, and it applies to every other area of our lives. Finances, I've been having a breakthrough in my finances from this new mindset shift because I began to see myself as someone who has access to wealth, and I must tell you, I'm beginning to see a lot of differences in my finances, and even the way I view money, the way I see money, the way I talk about money, the way I um relate with people as regards finances, as it has really really changed. And I have people coming to meet me now, okay, for investment advice, or okay, should I take a savings plan? Someone even came to meet me, I was asking me for some huge sum of money to lend her, and I was like, okay.
You're a
I didn't
banker
have
now.
that,
You're a banker.
a banker only has access to the figures, not the money in their accounts. So I just knew that it's not like it's something that you see physically before you believe it. Most of all these things we are going through is things that has to start from within before it comes out. So again, a lot has to be done on attention,
Yes,
and it's
I
something
think,
we should
and
always
and now
tell
there's
us.
so many things taking your attention. Unfortunately, people are not
Yes,
conscious of the things they
yes,
place their attention on. It's
yes,
unfortunate.
yes. Yes, yes. And recently, I also was meditating, and there are certain things that were coming to mind by the help of the Holy Spirit. And it was telling me that not all preachers, not all godly podcasts or godly stuff that I think are godly are for me in a particular season. I need to filter what I hear. I need to
Yeah.
filter things that come into my mind. If I want to go on a journey of manifestation and mind shift and have generic and specific results, I need to be very weary of anything that comes into my mind. It's just been a lot. Um, I'm soaking it in, and I believe that at the end of the year, by God's grace, or at the end of this quarter, I will begin to mark results, and even every one of us that has been joining. Thank you very much, sir, for your
All right.
sacrifice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Grant. Hello, Grant. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Once again. So the first one of the things you said stood that came jumping out to me is how that it's not a poverty cause, it's a poverty consciousness.
Yeah.
So for many things that seem like, and you took it from the angle today of parenting, how that a child, you use the word victim.
Yes.
So a victim
But
of
we are
either,
victim. A lot of victims. Because it's not, they don't even know how to, they don't even know what they are pouring into them, let alone stopping it. So it's a victim when you can't do anything about what is being done to you. You're a victim.
yeah. So you now become a victim, at least victim for a period of time before a
Yeah,
person
you're
begins
independent.
to,
But you now need to be aware.
yeah,
That's why you need to be aware what has been poured into you and see if it's good enough for you. Or you need to now change it.
yeah, yeah, you need to change it. And it now comes to that point where if you have good relationship with your parents, and they've told you things that you are finding out not to be exactly true, or the implication of it is not great, you now come to that point where like where you want to break the belief, but because of who you receive the belief from, it's becoming harder to break
Mm.
from, like, and like relationships. No, there's a saying that says that rules without relationship will lead to rejection. That if parents just dish out rules to their kids and they don't have a good relationship with them, the kids will not obey. But if you have good relationship with somebody, it's easier to control them to do what you want to do because you
Yeah.
have an emotional space in their heart. So when it now comes on those beliefs and good relationship with your parents, and you're like, this thing that, and it now feels like tearing off that belief is tearing off the relationship. And I've come to that battle. I've come upon it, and I'm like, well, there are two different things. I mean, even my parents taught me those things because that was the best they knew. They knew better. They would have taught me
Yeah.
better.
Very correct. No, very
That's-
correct. Very correct.
yeah, that part. Then you mentioned the conversation you had with a lady
Yes.
where situations from the past made her deformed her self-concept.
Yes.
And the way what you told her to do, I find it to be like, wow, that to go back to the past in her mind
You need to
and
go and
reinterpret the
change the way you
situation.
interpret that situation. You definitely must interpret it. So that because it's the remembrance of that thing that make you to be having what you're having in your life, where you see yourself now. So change in your mind, create a new synapse, a new mind, a new neural connection in the way you reinterpret that thing. Remember, your belief must serve you. Your belief is either superintending on you or serving you. If it's superintending on you, it's controlling you or serving your purpose. So the belief have been controlling her. Now I want her to change the way you see that situation and begin to see it as how a server and paint pictures to make us see that, oh, okay, this could have been the reason why this happened. And then begin to thank God for it rather than feeling terrible, sad, and denigrated herself rather, because of it.
Yeah, that's so true. And how because the way we interpret a situation, like there is no the situation would not have a meaning until we give it a
You are
meaning.
the one that gives the meaning.
It will not have and the meaning you now give situations is based on your current level of consciousness and awareness. And I find that for me, growing in understanding, like well-rounded understanding, like as I even grow in knowledge and understanding of the real behind the scenes of situations, giving it an interpretation will be so easy because it will be the real interpretation, like interpreting it based on truth. So that's very, very freeing. It's very, very delivering. And then you now begin to fight the old pathway, the old neurological pathway.
Mhm.
So this week I was trying to think of something. It's hard for me now to cast off thoughts. Like I find that until I became more conscious, most of the time I wasn't thinking my thoughts. I used to think other people's thoughts. I'll be
Yeah.
thinking what somebody is thinking about what I'm thinking or about what I'm doing. It's not my thoughts. I used to be So one day I'm like, so why is it not my thought that is in my head? Like, why am I? And now I'm even now upgrading from I want my thoughts to be God's thoughts. I want to see myself the way God sees me,
Yeah.
and not the way somebody might think I am, because it doesn't even change who I am. And I heard something from Dr. Miles, and he would say, opinions don't change potential.
Yeah.
If you shout down on a car, you're a very stupid car, you're a rubbish car, the car will still start. I mean, like, why does it affect human beings? Because human beings somehow believe the person, because we can hear the person and then we believe the
Yeah.
person. Oh, Jesus. So now I now find another thing. I found another thing out, that when a lie is coming, when something is coming, like maybe somebody says something, if it meets in my heart a truth, like a consciousness of my own identity, when that thing comes up to me, it just falls down. Like somebody comes and says, "Yeah, this," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, you came late. The truth is established. I already
Yeah.
know that I am great." Like, yeah. So truth has to meet. Truth has to meet. I mean, every situation has to meet the defense of truth, so that it's, if not, it would break. I see truth to be a shield. Like all these things now that I'm learning now, and I spend a lot of time meditating on it, because I see that thinking over it again is what allows it, it's what registers it into my consciousness. So I deliberately take out time to mull them over in my mind, think it over in my mind, roll it in my mind, so that it will be my consciousness. And low self-esteem, I heard somebody say once that low self-esteem is a spiritual attack.
Someone said that.
Sir, did you hear that? Hello,
Eh?
sir.
Someone said, "Those are the exhibition
Yes,
attack."
low self-esteem. Yes.
You know,
Eh,
we spiritualize a lot of
and
things.
the
You know,
reason he said that
the
is,
challenge I have when someone spiritualizes something, it makes it then difficult to be able to deal with, because you have now left it out of your hand. So it's like there is a force beyond you that's controlling it. So you can't do anything about it. And that's a very bad place to
So I think, sorry to cut you short, sir. I
yeah.
think it's a very lazy mentality, because men have just tried to put up structures to control men,
Mhm.
and it's something that is, if you're not careful, it can really destroy a nation, a people, and also that person that said that was just trying to look for a means to control that person to do something that they want them to do.
Mm. Mm. Might be a tool of control, truly.
okay. Sir, you and Unique have quickly murdered the person that you not allow me to finish the
Oh,
defense.
yeah,
You have
finish. Oh,
already
yeah, finish.
you have crucified me. Crucified. But that was not the perspective the person said it from. He said it
Okay.
from a perspective that, considering the effects, like he was not saying it from the spiritual, you have to deal with demons and the rest of it. Like the total effect that every tool that the devil uses to destroy people or to affect people is always ideology. And
Mhm.
so that we see the devil in more ways than in trying to make people sick. And most of the times when Satan showed up in the Bible, he really wasn't trying to make people sick. He was trying to sell them a lie as the truth. And the moment they believed that lie, then he was going to control them. I find that to be very interesting, because if we keep on looking for Satan, the serious places, like Satan is making somebody sick, he's tying somebody down, those things are low level of demonic operations. Ideology concept is the biggest way to control.
Yeah.
So that was the perspective it was coming from.
Okay, that's the angle it's
And one
coming
more thing,
from.
I have another question. This one, yeah, that was the angle it was coming from. So now, this you mentioned placebo that is given to people when they go to the
Yeah.
hospital,
Yeah.
and they are healed more because of their faith and belief than because of anything the drug did.
Yeah.
And which now implies that they were sick because of something in their mind and not
Yes,
something in their
yes,
body.
very correct. Very correct.
Yes, sir.
Very
So
correct.
now
Because,
I have a
yeah, go ahead.
okay. So my question now is, if like is there, the way we say that belief is what makes something happens. Like, are there things that work in spite of your belief that if you like believe them, don't believe them is going to affect you?
What do you mean?
Like gravity. You
No,
don't have to believe
that one
gravity.
it's not, that one is affecting everybody now. Belief affects you alone. This one affects
So,
everybody now. You can't use gravity now.
does it now mean that principles are not subject to belief? They work in spite of your belief.
The belief, the way the belief work is a principle already. It's also a principle.
No, sir, that's not my question.
Okay.
I'm saying that if I jump down from, I want to jump down from a very high tower now, and I say that no, I cannot break my leg, and I do visualization, affirmation, and I do it for 40 days before I attempt to jump, I will still break my leg,
It's like carrying
no
knife
matter how
and praying that it will not cut me, and I'm using to cut myself, saying not cut me, and using to cut myself, saying not cut me. That does not make
it will
sense.
cut, yes, it will cut.
And
Okay. So in that same, are there not things that your belief is not what created it and that it will affect in spite of belief?
your
Like
belief is
you
not what
can't
created
hide
it.
from it.
Yes, now there are now.
Yes.
Like you've overworked yourself and you're tired. And you need to go and sleep.
So now the reason now I'm even going sorry, but I don't know. You might stop me on the road, but let me still be going. And where I'm going is a lot of I already understand that a
Try
lot
to
of
understand what is
generation.
going on here. You are believing God for something. It's different from what you are doing, what you can see here. There's nothing you are believing God for. This one you are believing for something. You're expecting something. That means you're saying something to come to you. You are in the seen realm, and that is coming from unseen realm. And we're talking about the principle, both in scriptures and through science, of how you can receive that. So any example you want to give now must be that there's something that is available out there that I'm trying to attract to myself. You have to use example in that light for it to apply. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Okay, sir. Maybe I'll turn it to a question now.
All right.
So as a question, to what degree do our beliefs and consciousness affect our life? Like, is it ultimate?
Everything about your life is about your belief and consciousness. Everything you see in your life today is based. In fact, your life is a replica of the state of your consciousness. Because a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You might not know, but the reality is what we can see is evidence of who you are. Either you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. You don't need to argue it. You argue it, you don't argue it, but that's the reality.
Yeah, I
Only that
understand that one
many
too.
people got there subconsciously, which is why sometimes they can't replicate how they got there.
Yes, I also
Some
understand that.
got there consciously, so they can repeat it.
Mm. Yeah, yes, I understand this one too, sir. That even if you don't know that there is an autopilot in your mind, you can know from your reality that this might be a pointer that there is a thought, there's a limiting belief I have. Yet I still have a question. That's still not satisfied my question. That the way a child is born and genes are passed from to the like genes and resemblance, skin color, different things are encoded into the child. And that had nothing to do with the child's belief or even the way the child, all the programming that came after the child was born. That just comes. Are there, like in the area of generational causes and demonic operations
Were
in
you around
lineages, are
last week when
there
I talked about epigenetics?
okay, yeah, genetics in the arts.
Yes,
Yes,
now
I
there are
remember.
things that are passed down to you, but you can still solve the problem. There are things that are passed down to you. There's a way you think,
Well,
not because of
another
what you saw, but because of what was passed down to you. There's a way you behave, not because of what you saw or what someone said, but because of what was passed down to you. It's called
okay,
epigenetics.
okay, sir.
I'm validating what you said.
Yes,
I'm
I
validating
get
what
you.
you said. But you need now to be conscious of it, and then you can now change it. So either it was
Okay, sir.
passed down to you because of gene, or it was passed down to you because you caught up with it because of what you heard. It doesn't make difference. It doesn't change the fact that it can be changed. Does that make sense?
So, yes, again, sir, I'm seeing that I think is becoming that one of the goals of this is that so that we do not externalize our powers and the control of our life,
Yeah.
realize that it can be completely controlled from inside, which is heaven is within,
Yes.
and as it is in heaven, so it is on earth. But does this cancel out the external influence of things like God's sovereignty and the cosmic reality that I can do something, me, that will affect somebody else? I can, if I was in political power now, I can decide to just ban something or cause a trouble that will kill thousands of people. What was the place of those people's consciousness and belief in my action?
What's the place of what?
Their own consciousness and their belief in me as the person
No,
in
no,
a
no. It's
position
not
of
you.
authority.
It's not you. It's not you. What often happens is the fact that even in that kind of situation, some people will still not be affected, but some will be affected. And when we see some of those that are not affected, we can call it different names. But even in that situation, we think disaster happened caused by accident, and miraculously someone just escaped. So the fact that it happened does not mean it will affect everybody. Although it might affect most people, because that's the reality of our life, for our world rather. Not everybody is awake. That's why sometimes you want to do something, you just don't feel like doing it. You're supposed to go somewhere, you just don't feel like going. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, yes. But okay, what of people? I understand to this point now. I understand to this level now. Somebody that was born inside slavery, how will he use his consciousness to escape
Can't even be
slavery?
aware. He's already in a state of mind that will not even make him to be aware of what is happening to him. Unless someone come to educate him, and then he can begin to see differently, and then possibility of getting up. Because it was born into slavery and it was passed down. That one, how do you want to release him? He doesn't know any other thing.
So the mind is the cage.
Yes, the man is caged from birth. He doesn't even know
And
any
as
other
long
life.
as they can so so as long as they can keep freedom out of his consciousness,
You
then
get
they
the
remove it
point.
from his
You
experience.
get the point. He won't even look for it because nobody is talking to him about it. So he would think this is
Oh,
normal. So
wow.
that's the only thing he has known.
Okay. seems like a real spiritual attack. Jesus. Okay, sir. Thank
All
you very
right,
much,
thank
sir.
you. Favor, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this session, sir. And
Okay.
no, I didn't come in too early for this. One of the basic things I took out today is when you talk about how we can actually reach our mind, we can actually change our thoughts from what we have been, what we have learned over the years or what we've done. And I like part where you said it will take a process. Um, because again, we took a long period of time to have built
Yeah, to build
that
where we are.
yeah. So doing it will take some time because sometimes again, what happens is when we start the work of retracing our steps, what happens is that thought keeps coming. Has anything changed? Like we're anxious to want to see that the change has happened, but it's actually a gradual process for it to happen. So that's one of the things I took away. I also took the aspects where you talked about um what you give attention to, you align to. So it means that what comes into our mind, even as simple as the kind of things we watch. You need to wonder when we watch scary movies, we actually dream about something in that light. We continue to hear stories about a particular colleague was discussing with me, and she's single and she's a little mature. So she was like, she never noticed until she was being mentored. She didn't notice that one of the reasons why she wasn't married was that seen a lot of uncles, aunties, people around who were all
And it has
divorced. So
become normal.
yeah, so within her, she's like, the fear of even going into it um would not allow her to even start up even in a relationship with somebody. Once she's in a relationship, just thinking when will it end, things like that. These things play a lot of roles in one's life. So one of the takeaways for me tonight is actually directing my attention to the right things. One of the things I also noticed I started using was that aspect where you talked about um where you said all things, just like Bible says, all things work together for good um to them that love God. It means that even in the face of a challenging situation, how we perceive that situation, how we feel in that moment would actually impact the outcome of this, whether we're seeing ourselves as in a bad place and then that takes us with low energy. But if we change it, so what I noticed is there are things I'm beginning to work on in myself and like change. And I just see that as I give attention to the positives or to the good things or to the things I want to see, I continue to see more and experience more in that aspect. So that's one of the things I also took away tonight that I will continue to do. All the sessions have been very impactful and I will just continue to listen and listen again as I work. And just like what you mentioned, I strongly believe that testimonies are coming out of the teachings. Thank you very much, sir, for the session.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. So we'll continue next week. It's Easter week. Have a great weekend. Happy Good Friday in advance and Easter. By the time we're meeting next week Sunday, it will be Easter Sunday. Bye-bye.
All right, good night, sir.
Bye,
All right, good night.